Dear students, yesterday we had a discussion on the state, the concept of state, how state is having a few important characteristic features, and how the word state and when it was used by Machiavelli in his book The Prince. And also we had look at the different definitions given by the famous political thinkers. We also discussed the characteristic features, uh, each and every characteristic feature of the state. Um as part of the topic that we are going to discuss, that is the social contract theory. As part of social contract theory, we discussed the meaning and definition of the state and its characteristic features. Today, we are going to have a discussion on the social contract theory. As I said yesterday, there are many theories of origin of the state, divine right theory, uh, social contract theory, and evolutionary theory. But broadly, these are the three important theories of origin of the state. The very important of the very important theory of all these theories is the social contract theory, because it gave a base for the constitutional democracy, which is based on individualism and liberalism. Today, there are three contractual philosophers. Uh, why they are called contractual philosophers is that they speculated that the origin of the state is the result of the agreement that was entered into by the people among themselves. So that is how they speculated the origin of the state. So the three most important contractual philosophers are Thomas Hobbes, John Locke, and Rousseau. Today we are going to have an in-depth discussion of the Hobbes' thought on the contract theory. Let us begin. Let us see. Let us have a look at this slide. Thomas Hobbes, he was a great or one of the greatest philosophers of Britain. He lived during 1588 to 1679. His influence was mostly in the 17th century. And when we deal with the theory of social contract theory, we should begin by understanding the human nature, because why human being entered into contract, what necessitated him to enter into contract, that is very important. He insisted that any study of political society must begin with a consideration of the nature of man. So when we know the nature of man, then we are able to understand the reason for the contract that was entered into by the people among themselves. So Thomas Hobbes uh, was the pioneering thinker who speculated on the origin of the state, and he said the basis of origin of the state was the contract. Uh, he wrote a book, famous book, known as Leviathan in 1651. It was the greatest of Hobbes' works. It contains four parts. It deals with psychology, politics, religion, and philosophy. The first two parts dealt with the raging controversy of the day, namely struggle between king and parliament of England. And this was the larger context in which he wrote his book Leviathan. At that time, there was a civil war in Britain. The civil war was the result was due to the fight between the king and the parliament. As yesterday I told you, parliament is a kind of representative body of the people, and the who supported parliament at the time insisted that the king should listen to their grievances and their needs and wishes. Only based on their needs and wishes, a law must be made. And king initially obliged, but later on he repented for agreeing to constitute a parliament and convene a parliament. And he rejected the demand for convening a parliament. And the society was divided into two factions. One faction was supporting the parliament, the another faction was supporting the king. And these two factions began fighting. That was the civil war in England. And later on, after persistent demand by the parliament, led to king suddenly abdicating his throne, and he left England. That was called silent revolution. That happened in 1688. So Leviathan was the work that was written by Hobbes when there was chaos, when there was civil war in England. So that was the context in which he wrote Leviathan, and he speculated that the chaos, to put an end to the chaos or the civil war, there need to be a powerful king, or the monarchical king. When the power is vested in the monarchical king with absolute sovereignty, then people could be controlled. And by nature, human being is to be uh, coerced to oblige. So that was the idea that Hobbes had, and he put those ideas in his great work Leviathan. Um, so when we want to know about the reason for the contract which resulted in the birth of the state, before knowing that, we have to know the the state of nature. It's a very important concept in the social contract theory. The state of nature was a condition, or the state of nature of Hobbes represents the pre-social and pre-political phase of human society prior to the formation of the state. So it was the period when there was no society and there was no political system like state. And during the period, how human lived, and what was his nature, that was sought to be inquired into, to know the reason for the contract to create the state. uh, Human nature. Every man in the state of nature was selfish and self-centered. Man possessed both, and he Hobbes said that during the state of nature, man was very selfish, but he possessed both the faculties of reason and passion. He said, Hobbes said, reason is passive and passion is always active. This is the general nature of a human being. He goes by passion, because the reason becomes passive. When reason dominates, he is good. When passion dominates, he is bad. So that is what Hobbes said. So during the state of nature, man was moved to action not by his intellect or reason, but by his appetite, desires, and passions. So when man is led by or is governed by appetite, desires, and passions, he becomes bad. And he said that during state of nature, the faculty of reason was passive and was dormant, and because of that he was so selfish and he was so rude. The life of man in state of nature was solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. So this was the excellent description of the life of man in the state of nature. He was solitary. He always used to live, alone. He creates his own world. Man creates his own world and tries to live in the world. And he was poor, and he has nothing, no, and nasty. He was very dangerous. He was brutish. He was like animal. He was like wild animal, and uh, and because of this nature of human being, his life was very short. He did not know when his life would be threatened, when his life would be finished. So that was the situation during the state of nature that man had. The life of man in the state of nature was miserable because there was intense competition between human beings, and that led to war. Everywhere there was warlike situation, and he did not know when they all would be finished. So that was the state of nature. So man basically is very selfish, and therefore that selfishness leads to competition, and competition leads to fight, and that creates a warlike situation among the lives of the people. And but man has two faculties, as I've just said, that he has the faculty of reason and faculty of passion. When he is governed by the passion, he becomes so selfish and so brutish. But as he's inherently he inherently has a character of reason. That character of reason enables him to think that he needs to protect his life out of this chaotic situation. That faculty of reason makes a man to enter into contact with his fellow human being, and that was the reason for the contract. And the contract of contract of Hobbes says that men could have lived long in the state of nature, could not have lived long in the state of nature. They must have craved for peace and security. So that craving for peace and security was due to his inherent faculty of reason. So inherent nature, which contains the faculty of reason, that makes him to realize the dangers of the life in the state of nature. Therefore the people entered into a contract themselves to form a civil society to ensure security of life and property. So that was the reason to enter into contract. Finally he thought he required to protect his life and also his property, and therefore the people entered into contract to create a sovereign authority, absolute sovereignty. All the individuals surrendered their natural rights to a person or a body of persons. This person or body of persons became the sovereign. That was the state. The surrender of rights was total because it was the people themselves who entered into contract. They surrendered their rights to the sovereign body. The sovereign was not party to the contract. This is very important. Here people among themselves entered into contract. The result of the contract was sovereign body, but that sovereign body was not part of the contract. Basically in a contract there are two parties, but here there is only one party, that is the people. The sovereign is absolute. Hobbes prefers monarchy. So he prefers monarchical sovereignty because he thought it would bring about, you know, the peace. It would bring in peace and order in the society. Uh, so this is the so now we have known how the people, what was the nature of life of a man in the state of nature, and what was the concept of state of nature, and why human being by nature becomes so selfish, and also how he enters into contract, and what kind of contract they entered into, and what was the result of that contract, and what kind of system they built by entering into contract, that we have seen. Now let us see the main limitations of the theory of contract of Hobbes. Criticism. Hobbes held the view that selfishness is the only motive of all human actions. So he said man was selfish, that he wanted to secure his life and also his property. That was the motive to enter into contract. But man is not always selfish. He is also seeks cooperation from his fellow human beings, and that cooperative attitude, even though he's selfish, should also be considered. But he taken into consideration only the selfish nature of the human being. So he took only a part of the human nature, not no the entire nature of the human being. So that is what he viewed human being uh, only a partial view. The transformation from selfishness to reasonableness to establish a state is incredible, because he was so selfish. When he was so selfish, then he could not have, you know, uh, entered into contract uh, because he was so selfish. But how come he enters into a contract based on such a reasoning? Because when man goes by passion, and he always passion moves him, then it is uh, not possible to think that because of the reason that human being was having was the reason for establishing a state. So this is a little bit incredible. His theory is unhistorical. Man always lived under some type of social organization in some form or the other. So this was the history of human being. uh, you can't have clear picture of the history just by looking at the selfish nature of the man. And man, he says the state of nature was pre-social and pre-political. Pre-social means there was no society, and pre-political there was no state. But human being, take any part or any era, he lived in some sort of social organization. He had some sort of social organization, and he lived um, most of the time in cooperation with his fellow human being. And the saying that man is selfish, and the state of nature was pre-social and pre-political is unhistorical. Historically and empirically, it is proved that man lived in some sort of social organization during any phase of the history. So that was the limitation of the theory of social contract of Thomas Hobbes. He did not make any distinction between the state and the government. Here is important. He says, people enter into contract and create a sovereign body, and he does not make any distinction between state and the government. It is the government which gives shape to the state, which tries to achieve the goal set by the state. So the government and state are different. But he did not. He seems to have made no distinction between state and government. This is another limitation of his theory. And Hobbes denies individual liberty. individual is at the mercy of the Leviathan. So when he speculates, or when he propagates the sovereign, absolute sovereignty, that is Leviathan, then individual loses his liberty, and the individual liberty was at the mercy of the Leviathan. And even though individuals based on equality enters into contract, but individual loses his liberty because of the sovereign monarchy. Conclusion. And in spite of the criticism, in spite of the limitations in the theory of origin of the state of Hobbes, he was the first English man who gave a complete and logical expression to the doctrine of sovereignty. This is very important. He was the first person to express his views about the necessity of sovereign state, and he is the first modern thinker who saw the state as an agency to reconcile different interests of society. So when many people enter into contract, then there must have been so much of so many differences among individuals, and they reconciled themselves among themselves and created a sovereign state. So this itself shows state as an agency to reconcile different interests of society. So that is how the contribution of Thomas Hobbes have been so great, and they have been considered very important in origin of the state and his theory of social contract. Thank you very much.